Welcome back to the Alan Nathan Show, everybody. Joined right now by Robert Weiner, Democratic strategist, columnist, and former communications director for Clinton drug czar General Barry McCaffrey, and in general, awesome person who's been on the show for I don't know how many years, since before I started. Bob, thanks for being here. How are you today?
It's great to be with you, Joseph. Congratulations on your hosting. And the answer is, since right as I left the White House in 2001, so we are on 1 and 10 is 11 and 10 is 21. So we're in 20 years.
Oh, well, happy 20th.
Thank you.
I don't know, 25th anniversary is when I'm supposed to give you silver, right?
Yeah, that'd be. I would appreciate just a nice email saying thanks for being with us. That would work for me.
Okay, I'll use a silver font then.
Yeah.
Getting right down to it, though, we have Real ID. I never really thought much of it because actually I couldn't get one. I tried to do it 3 years ago when I was renewing my license, but I didn't have the documents necessary. So that it seems there it passed in 2005. That surprised me. But you have this new article out on it. It's over at what's it called, upednews.com.
Right.
Titled "New IDs Required to Get on Planes Invite Major Privacy Dangers Should Be Delayed or Scuttled as Post-COVID Travels Soon." So it's been going on since 2005. I mean, it seems like it's been delayed long enough. What's going on here?
Well, so you haven't gotten yours yet. Is that right? Good.
That is correct.
This is a real danger, and it's going to be mandatory for October. And I'm very proud that Op-Ed News, which is one of the major progressive voices, ranked our op-ed H1, the number one op-ed in the country. And so we made a point of sending it off to Biden and to Nadler and all that, and Judiciary and the Senate, because this is a serious problem. Every American who wants to get on a plane is going to have to get a real ID. And you know what that means? It opens it. The same way that there's been the hacking. Don't tell me there hasn't been hacking. There's been hacking of DOD, Target, OPM, the Office of Personal Management at the White House, Starwood Hotels, Experian, which is supposed to protect your credit agent ratings, not give it out. So how can it be safe to Xerox and put in universally accessible to DMV employee files a copy of, listen to this, 4 of these: your birth certificate, passport, unemployment, social security number, residency proof, driver's license or registration, auto insurance proof, utility bill, W-2, tax record, lease agreement, marriage certificate, a DL-32, and gender change, and more. Seriously, just Xerox those into DMV files and be required to share those with other states? So I live in Maryland, which prides itself as being the first to be compliant with Real ID and claims they're the national lead. So I spoke when I had to get mine with the head of my regional office in Waldorf, and he said, our employees are safe. And I said to him, yes, so was Edward Snowden. And suddenly there was silence. And so I figured for the formality of writing the op-ed, I would go to the state DMV, and their head person, their head PR person, responded to us because we like to do research, and they said that, let's see, what did he say? We asked, okay, all personally identifiable information is physically secured in MDOT, MVA, databases, and encrypted. Yeah, that's really good. So I spoke with Jay Wind, who you may know him. He's our data guy. He did Al Gore's data for his environmental stuff, where Gore, is renowned. And so Jay said to me that if all data is encrypted, then someone or something knows the encryption algorithm, and they will test various data defenses to find it and bypass the encryption algorithm, as Edward Snowden did. So this is a serious danger, and what we have done is we have called on for it to be delayed or scuttled. But then, you go with common sense. And my wife, Pat, who's a nationally renowned cancer researcher, her tech support said to me, it's too late for a lot of people, not for you, Joseph, you haven't gotten yours yet, but for everybody who has, it's already in the files. And I fell for the trap, and I put my stuff in the files. And so that means that everybody who's already done it is subject to the vulnerability of privacy hacking. So, yes, that's my little spiel. That's not a Biden thing. It's not a Trump thing. It's a national privacy thing of all Americans. We're very concerned about it. And if our listeners are concerned also, And I remember, when I was subpoenaed by Ken Starr, Rush Limbaugh endorsed it and said Weiner deserves an apology for violating my wife's and my privacy of that kind of nonsense that happened. The privacy is not a Democrat or Republican thing. There was the Koch Goldwater privacy bill. There was the Conyers and I can't remember the Republican, but there was a bipartisan bill, the one that blocked the national hacking, the national data bulk collection. And then it failed by 14 votes in the House, but the Supreme Court backed it up and said NSA can't do that kind of data bulk collection. And we make these points in our op-ed, which our readers are welcome to look at, Joseph, on anywhere you want to find it. Go to op-ed news, Weiner, privacy ID, or it's on the EIN wire, the same thing, you'll find it there, or it's on our website, weinerpublic.com. It's the most recent item up. This is a serious, serious situation that all Americans are about to be subject to this massive privacy hacking vulnerability.
And it just seems to me as well that what this is going to do is anyone, all those identity thieves out there who hack into various, banks, businesses, whatever, to try and get personal information, they're now like, right. Oh, thank you. You're putting all this in one place for me. That's very considerate of you.
And the law requires that it be shared among the states. We have a massive FU in the making, an unbelievable breach of Americans' privacy in the making. And so the House Judiciary Committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, the White House, and the Department of Transportation all are subject to, if we have people concerned about privacy out there, contact your friends and contact your elected officials and your appointed officials and say, what are you doing here? And don't let them say, oh, we have the security system in place. And your answer to that is always, yes, so did Edward Snowden not have, right? So that's nonsense to say we have safe employees. Just nonsense.
Yeah, and also this being spread across multiple states, that sounds kind of like if you get into the system, you can get into the systems of multiple states through this. Right.
So, it's just a disaster. China would love to hack us. Russia, that they hack us. And, it's just just an awful thing. Gotta protect our consumers. People said to me, Joseph, what do you do now that Biden is in and you're sort of progressive? Well, I'm not progressive on all things, but I said, it's a problem I'll happily take. You take it case by case on the issue, and you try to improve the issue regardless of the party, and this is a case in point.
Yeah, now this op-ed here came out, it was ranked H1 on op-ed news on the 14th. I'm not seeing the date on here. I guess it came out earlier than that.
It got promoted. At first was H2, and then they took another look, and then they made it H1, and, I'm very proud of it. I run the op-ed writing group out of the National Press Club that recruits young journalists to co-write and author. And, kids are fearless, right? So they go after and they find anything. And Johnny Ramos, who is my intern, who is a journalist in college where he is, wrote, drafted and wrote it under my guidance and then strategizing and all of that kind of thing because I mentor it. And we won the National Press Club President's Award for the program of mentoring young journalists to write co-bylined op-eds in major outlets. So congratulations to Johnny Ramos, my intern, for writing this, drafting it, and for getting this out there and having it so highly nationally ranked. We're very proud of this piece and what just happened. And thank you, by the way, to you, Joseph, for letting me babble about it and show my passion and spiel about it here on your show. I really appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. And my congratulations to Johnny Ramos, too. The reason, though, actually, I mentioned when this was ranked H1 as being on the 14th, that means, 5 days has elapsed at least since it was published. And you mentioned distributing it to other folks. I mean, in this 5 days, has anyone in the government gotten back to you about, with at least we're looking at it?
Well, I did get an email from a guy on the executive committee of the American Civil Liberties Union who said that they agree with the position completely and they're fired up and ready to go to tear it apart. And there now is an ACLU lawsuit. And I don't mean to bring in the ACLU on a show that has a lot of conservative listeners, but, sometimes they are partners. As I mentioned, remember that Rush Limbaugh was my partner, when I was challenging Ken Starr for violating my wife's and my privacy. So that has happened, and I will be following up with Nadler, because I was the spokesman for the Judiciary Committee in the House when Conyers was the chairman of it, and the Senate. Number 2 Senator Dick Durbin is the chair of Judiciary now, and I've known him for a long time, and I'll be, we'll follow up.
Okay, Bob Weiner, thank you very much for joining us, and listeners, I guess if you can avoid getting a real ID, do so. As far as I could tell, you only really need it for if you plan to travel anytime soon, and it hasn't really gone into mandatory effect everywhere else just yet, so be leery about it and protect your privacy. And Bob, thanks again for joining us here on the Alan Nathan Show. Sorry we could only have you for one segment today, but listeners, we got another segment to come, so stay with us.